In today's video, we're diving into one of the most chilling and disturbing traditions in Australia, the phenomenon of the dingo tree. So what is a dingo tree? It's a term used to describe a practice that is as gruesome as it is symbolic. Farmers, hunters, and even government officials hang the bodies of dead dingoes from the branches of trees in an attempt to show people passing through or on neighbouring properties that there are dingoes in the area. To understand why such a cruel practice emerged, we first need to look at the relationship between dingoes and the white settlers of Australia. The dingo is a native species, having been in Australia for over 4,000 years. However, when Europeans arrived in the 18th century and began to establish farms, the relationship between dingoes and humans became fraught with tension. Having lived alongside First Nations people for thousands of years, this newfound tension continues to have a lasting impact. The practice of dingo persecution escalated in the 1800s when farmers began to organise large-scale efforts to eradicate the dingo. Bounties were offered for every dingo killed, and a variety of methods were employed. Poison, traps, shooting, and in the most chilling instances, hanging the bodies of dead dingoes from trees. The dingo tree is a symbol of dominance and control. Farmers and hunters hang the bodies of the dingoes that they kill from trees as a public display. These trees aren't just in isolated areas either. They're often visible to passing travellers who would view them as a proof of their efforts to cleanse the land. This practice is closely tied to the construction of the dingo fence, a massive structure built in the early 20th century. The fence, which stretches more than 5,600 kilometres, was designed to keep dingoes from the fertile grazing lands in the southeast of Australia, where farming was concentrated. Farmers believe that if they can eliminate dingoes from their land, they can protect their livestock from predation. Hanging the bodies from the trees was just one of the ways to send a message and to intimidate others into joining the fight. The dingo tree practice is a deeply psychological act. It isn't just about getting rid of an animal, it's about control. It's a symbolic gesture, one of power. By hanging the bodies of the dingo, these farmers are not only sending a message to other people, but also demonstrating their authority over the land and its wildlife. It's not just about controlling dingoes, it's about the broader human desire to control nature itself. The practice of hanging the bodies in trees wasn't isolated. It's part of a broader mindset that saw nature as something to be conquered, controlled, and subdued. The dingo fence was a testament to the lengths of which humans are willing to go to keep dingoes from roaming freely. It wasn't just a physical barrier, it represented a new approach to dealing with wildlife. Rather than live with dingoes, farmers and governments decided to simply shut them out. Today, the practice of hanging dead dingoes from trees is still prevalent. It's a grim piece of Australian farming culture that serves as a symbol of the violent ongoing clash between humans and wildlife. The trees that bear the bodies of these dingoes are a silent reminder of the cost of this conflict. The story of the dingo tree is not just a tale of cruelty and control, it's also one of evolution, both in terms of conservation and human attitudes towards wildlife. While the legacy of dingo persecution lingers, the changing tide of understanding offers hope. As we look to the future, we must continue to work towards a world where humans and wildlife can coexist, where the dingo can thrive in its natural habitat once again, without the fear of violence or persecution.